Have you ever wondered why Satan quoted the Bible? Not twisted philosophy, not lies, not even false religion. Scripture. Specifically, Psalm 91. If you've heard this story before, you probably remember the challenge. Throw yourself down. But here's the detail almost nobody notices. Satan doesn't finish the quotation. He stops, right in the middle. And what he leaves out completely changes the meaning of the passage. The missing words expose exactly why Jesus refused the temptation. Today, we're going to compare Satan's quotation with the original psalm. We'll uncover the verse he skipped, why he skipped it, and why understanding this changes the way many people read Psalm 91 today. Jesus has spent 40 days fasting in the wilderness, hungry, weak, physically exhausted, yet spiritually prepared. Satan has already failed twice. First, turn stones into bread. Second, gain the kingdoms without the cross. Now comes the third temptation. But instead of speaking his own words, Satan quotes Scripture. Matthew 4 records him saying, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written." Then he quotes Psalm 91. "He will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Everything sounds biblical, because it is, but something is missing. Psalm 91 says, "He will command his angels concerning you, so that they will guard you in all your ways. Then they will lift you up in their hands." Now compare Satan's quotation. "He will command his angels concerning you. They will lift you up." Notice anything? One entire phrase disappears. "In all your ways." Just 4 words, but they change everything, because Satan removed the condition. What does "in all your ways" actually mean? The Hebrew word for ways refers to one's path, one's conduct, one's course of life. In other words, God promises protection while you're walking the path He has given you, not while creating unnecessary danger. Think of it this way. If a firefighter enters a burning building to rescue someone, he's walking in his calling. If someone walks into the same fire simply to prove God will protect them, that's something entirely different. The promise isn't permission to manufacture danger. It's assurance while faithfully walking God's path. Satan removed those words because they destroyed his argument. Notice something fascinating. Satan didn't invent new scripture. He simply removed part of it. Sometimes deception doesn't require adding lies. Sometimes it only requires removing context. It's like reading only half a sentence. Imagine someone saying, "I can eat anything," while leaving out, "except what my doctor forbids." The meaning changes completely. The temptation wasn't about whether Psalm 91 was true. It was about using God's promise outside God's purpose. That's exactly what Satan wanted. He wanted Jesus to force God's hand, to demand miraculous protection instead of trusting the Father's timing. Jesus doesn't argue about Psalm 91. He doesn't say the psalm is wrong. Instead, he quotes another scripture. "You shall not put the Lord your God to the test." That's from Deuteronomy. Why answer Scripture with Scripture? Because the Bible interprets the Bible. Psalm 91 promises protection. Deuteronomy forbids testing God. Together, they create balance. God protects, but faith never demands proof. Trust obeys. Testing demands evidence. There's a huge difference. This temptation didn't end in the wilderness. It still happens today. Whenever we use isolated Bible verses to justify reckless choices, we're repeating the same mistake. Psalm 91 isn't an invitation to test God. It's an invitation to trust Him. There's a profound difference between stepping out in obedience and stepping out in presumption. Faith follows God's direction. Presumption demands God follow ours. Satan knew Psalm 91. He just didn't want Jesus to remember all of it. because one missing phrase exposed the deception. In all your ways. The next time you read Psalm 91, don't rush past those words. They remind us that God's promises aren't detached from God's purposes. And perhaps the greatest lesson from the wilderness is this: the most dangerous misuse of Scripture isn't always inventing verses that don't exist. Sometimes it's leaving out the words that do. If this changed the way you see Psalm 91, subscribe for more Bible mysteries.